to RotoBaller Game Day.
RotoBaller Game Day Live is on the air for week 5 of the NFL football season, but most importantly, for the fantasy football season. So that is why we are all here today gathered to talk about some injury news, maybe some players that we need to have in our lineups this week that are getting a bump up because of injuries. And of course, the best part of the show, taking your questions and getting you some answers for this week. So as always, joined by Jake Hubman, but I'm Kyle Richardson, Senior Fantasy Analyst at RotoBaller.com. Jake Hubman, RotoBaller expert, the man behind the scenes that makes the show happen, and is also a pretty face. And if you can't tell, a whole new setup today that looks marvelous, might I add. So some awesome stuff there behind you, Jake.
Hey, it's a work in progress, but it's better than a plain white wall. But hey, I'm just glad to be back. I missed last week. I was in the chat section with the people, but I'm back here in front of the camera, ready to give out, whatever information we got here to try to help some people make their week 5 matchup successful.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of good questions that we need to try and answer this week. Some unknowns as far as injury goes, some injury news that has just broke over the last few minutes as we were getting ready to go live here that we're going to talk about. Again, as always, we're going to dive into all that and give you a little bit of an expanded view. That second part of the show is really going to be diving into your questions. Jake's got a sign there that tells you what's going to happen. Let it flow. We'll get back to that today. And he's promised an extra long Let It Flow segment for not being here last week.
I don't let it flow, though, unless the sign is flashing. It's like the blue light special at Walmart. If the light's not on, it's not flowing.
Yep, when that light goes on, then we know it is time. And then at the end of the show, Kyle's Crushers did all right last week, except for the fact that I might be an injury jinx now because every time I name someone to Kyle's Crusher, someone gets hurt. So we need to be careful about that. Jake wants to amend the name of it, but I asked him to give me one more week instead of calling it. What we're going to call it?
Kyle's future injury report. Something like that.
I don't remember now, but we'll have to discuss that later. So before we dive into it and get rolling, just a couple of reminders. RotoBaller.com. That's where you can head to find all of our articles, all of our staff rankings. Our videos are up on there throughout the week. But right here on YouTube, make sure you like the video. We got to get a ton of likes. Let's bump this video up. Let's get it out there. Let's get some more views. So like the video if you haven't done it yet. Number 2, subscribe. If you're new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. We're hoping to be at 7,000 subscribers by the end of this show. We were about 50 short when we went live, so we need 50 more subscribers from you people, and I know we can make it happen because YouTube, you are an amazing crowd. Twitter, if you're out there in Twitter land, retweet it, like it, drop your questions over there. We'll try to get to them there as well. Also, make sure that you're downloading the RotoBaller Fantasy Football app. You can get all of your injury updates with alerts right to your phone. You can have access to all of our articles, all of our waiver wire articles that drop starting Sunday night all the way through Tuesday morning. So you get access right to those as well. And then also, again, like, subscribe here. And then before we get going really quick, just to remind everybody, head over to fanpicks.com/RotoBaller if you haven't done it yet. We've got the Magic Million DFS tournament going on today. We do this every week. Jake and I submit lineups. Other RotoBallers submit lineups, and you can get in and play right against us. If you go to fanpicks.com/RotoBaller, you can use Baller25 to sign up and get a free $25 to use towards those contests. There's no strings attached. You don't have to submit any money yourself. You can get cash prizes. Again, lineups lock at 1 p.m. today for that Magic Million DFS free roll. Good luck, RotoBallers. Give that a shot. But let's get right into it now at this point. Let's talk some injuries. So let's talk about the early games first. The 2 big names in the early games, Gio Bernard, Leonard Fournette, already ruled out. It sounds like both of them are going to be missing extended weeks at this point. So we have questions about TJ Yeldon and Joe Mixon. We'll talk about them a little bit more today. John Ross is also out, heading over to wide receivers now. John Ross is also out for Cincinnati today. Marvin Jones, for a second straight week, a late add to the injury report. He was questionable, but he is expected to play. So that's one that you want to keep an eye on there. The Green Bay wide receivers, everyone's a mess there right now. Everyone's hurting in some way, shape, or form. Randall Cobb is out. Geronimo Allison is expected to be out. It sounds like that is confirmed now at this point. Devontae Adams is in. So Allison out, Cobb out, Adams in. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. Sammy Watkins is questionable, but expected to play. Jake did mention before going on that there was a weather issue perhaps out in KC, a little bit of rain. Is that correct?
I had a couple people hit me up here on Twitter and stuff. I got resources everywhere because I'm not in Kansas City, so I have no idea what's really going on in Kansas City. However, I'm being told there's a little bit of a torrential downpour going on right now, which could be something that limits, some of this upside that we had projected for, not only just members of the Chiefs offense, but the also now elite Blake Bortles when Leonard Fournette doesn't play.
Yes, the elite Blake Bortles.
Right. It's hit and miss.
So Devontae Parker is officially out also for those early game wide receivers. Early game tight ends. Hayden Hurst is active, making his NFL debut today. He's not a guy that I'm jumping on board with right now because he hasn't played yet, but there's possibility there, so keep an eye on him. Charles Clay is questionable. Greg Olsen was at one point thought maybe he could make a return this week. He is not, but it sounds like next week. So he's out this week, could be back next week. Of course, Tyler Eifert, he's already out. Evan Ingram is out as well with his knee injury. And then real quick, some of those late game injury reports. Matt Breida, questionable, expected to play. Lamar Miller, it sounds like earlier today, he is out. So, or not officially, but could be out. So we'll talk about him. Delvin Cook was a game time decision, but we're hearing now he's not expected to play. Darren Sproles out. Corey Clement has not practiced at all this week, still listed as questionable, but more than likely out. Larry Fitzgerald, questionable, but he's played with the same injury the last 2 weeks. Marquise Goodwin is out this afternoon. Terrence Williams is out, so Michael Gallup, he could get a little bit of a boost. Will Fuller and Kiki Kuti are questionable, but both expected to play, and we're going to talk about some more Will Fuller here in a second. But, Jake, let's jump into the Green Bay situation. So we were just talking about it before coming on. You had mentioned Ty Montgomery. I think Ty Montgomery is a good play this week, but what should we expect from the Green Bay offense with two of their top wide receivers out and Devontae Adams a little bit banged up?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we can expect a whole lot of letters and some mispronunciation of names because this could be the week of rookie wide receivers here in Green Bay. You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling and you got Equanimeous St. Brown, both guys which you could totally win an entire game of Scrabble with just their last names. But, I mean, it's going to be hit and miss, but it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he has that ability to kind of make people who you haven't heard of or seen very much of efficient and effective. And to me, this is no different. I mean, the names may be different lining up on the outside, but I still expect production in that Green Bay offense. It may take a few drives. So if you go out there in the first quarter and Aaron Rodgers ends the first quarter and only has 50 yards passing, don't freak out. I mean, I don't think a whole lot of these guys are really owned in a lot of leagues. To me, these are more DFS type updates and plays, but I still expect production in that game.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions about Devontae Adams, and my response has been if he starts, he's in your lineup. He's not someone that I'm sitting. He needs a touchdown really to return value, and he's going to get that touchdown more than likely based on the last 2 years. He's going to get you a touchdown, and, I mean, it's going to be there. If the other two top wide receivers are out, I mean, he's going to be the guy that Rodgers is going to look for. Jimmy Graham gets a nice bump for me. I think I've got him now at tight end 2 this week just because I expect that volume to be there for him, and again, touchdown upside is there. For the running back situation, Aaron Jones. If you own Aaron Jones, I'm comfortable with him as a running back too this week. I think this is a nice game for him. I think this is a game where he runs away from Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery as that lead back and sees more and more carries each week, more and more touches. And then Ty Montgomery is the guy this week. Pass catching wise, I like him because they could split him out into the slot a little bit. They could use him in the backfield. Maybe they have some packages where they could put Jones and Montgomery in the backfield together. That's a lot. They're going to have to do that a lot today because the run game, Detroit's awful in the run game. They give up the second most fantasy points to running backs this season. They can't stop the run. However, they're one of the best teams against wide receivers and quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy points. So if you have a bunch of rookies out there and Devontae Adams, you're going to have to rely on something else because Detroit's probably not giving up a whole lot of yards to these rookie wide receivers. But it's Green Bay, and weird things happen when the Lions play the Green Bay Packers, and once again, you could see something like that. So rookie wide receivers, I'm not getting cute and grabbing anyone off the waiver wire to try and start with the Packers this week. Stick to who you have on your team already.
Yeah, especially for everybody they're doing redraft. Like I said, a lot of these guys probably aren't really owned anyway. So you're not scrambling to try to find somebody to fill in spots. I just think it kind of boosts the production of the guys who are already there.
Yeah, and moving on now, Will Fuller. I want to talk about Will Fuller for a second as well. So, Jake, do we trust Will Fuller in our lineups? I mean, the upside is there every single week, but just like last week, he gets out there, looks like he's in line for a huge game, bam, done with a hamstring injury, expected to play today. So, if you own him, are you comfortable putting him in your lineup?
I mean, it's really hard to sit Will Fuller, but in my opinion, I kind of have to. Well, one of the rules I like to always try to follow is I'm not going to start somebody that's going into the game with an injury and take that chance that he re-aggravates it, re-injures it, and misses. Injuries are always going to happen. You can't predict them. You never know when they're going to come. But if you kind of put somebody in your lineup with a known injury already and he doesn't finish, to me that's kind of a risk that you took there to begin with. Personally, unless you have no better options on your bench, I mean, unless you have nothing else on your bench, I'm not starting Will Fuller this week just because of the potential that, I mean, soft tissue injuries, they linger. They don't just all of a sudden heal up and be 100%. I know he's got that connection with Deshaun Watson, but to me it's just too risky until he can get a little bit healthier.
Yeah, it depends on who you possibly have to go in front of him. If you have a deeper starting lineup or deeper or shorter benches, and he's a guy that you basically have to play, then you put him out there and you hope maybe he gets a touchdown and a few receptions before he has to make his way off the field, if that is what ends up happening. Kiki Kuti, I mean, do we like him this week? Is he a good PPR play out of the slot this week?
He is if he's healthy too, but he's also dealing with the same type of injury. And as much as I absolutely love the upside of Kiki, do you love me, Cutie, I stashed him in a lot of leagues. I grabbed him a lot this week, and then with all this injury news and the missed practices and the limitations, it's just another one of these guys that I love it. I love the potential upside. I mean, he had 15 targets in his first ever game, regular season game. And it's somebody going forward that we really need to pay attention to. But this week, I have my concerns again with the same type of nagging injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I missed out on Kuti a lot in redraft leagues this week, but I already owned him in dynasty leagues, and there are a couple of dynasty leagues that I have him in my lineup today. And I think him and Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, I think they can all coexist. I think they can all have fantasy points. In PPR leagues, I think QT has that option or opportunity to deliver as a flex play. So if you have both of them in your lineup, I'm okay with that. Will Fuller, though, I'm worried about having him in my lineup. And I've hated on Will Fuller enough at this point that I don't want to do it anymore. But we said it on our wide receiver show this week, right? There's 3 things in life that are guaranteed: death, taxes, and soft tissue injuries for Will Fuller. So he always seems to have something going on. And just like Leonard Fournette last week too, like, he has injuries. If you're putting him in your lineup, are you worried that you lose him in the first half? So I have concerns. But again, the upside is there if he plays. So if you need to have him in your lineup, you do it. If you have some better, safer options, then I seriously consider those. So let's talk about Joe Mixon being back. So this week I wrote an article on my touch analysis for running backs, and I published the article, and within 15 minutes of the article coming out, it was announced Gio Bernard was not playing this week. So I had to go back in and completely change the section on the Cincinnati Bengals, because my question was, what is Joe Mixon coming back to? And with Mark Walton having a pretty decent week last week, averaging over 7 yards per touch in his limited touches, it concerned me that when Joe Mixon comes back, that they're going to try and split these touches between 3 running backs. Gio Bernard sounds like he's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks now. So with Mark Walton and Joe Mixon in the lineup, Jake, are we safe putting Joe Mixon? Does he return that value, or do you think we're going to see more Mark Walton as they try to ease Mixon back?
I think we're going to see a little bit more Mark Walton, but I don't think that they bring Mixon back this week if he's really not 100% good to go. I know it was a minor procedure there on his knee. But one thing that kind of caught my attention last week is on that last touchdown there of the game for Cincinnati. Who did you see sprinting down the field to celebrate with his teammate? It was Joe Mixon. And, I mean, he's sprinting down the side of the field in street clothes. And to me, I think if there was any limitations, any worries with him, he wouldn't have even been in a position to do that. I like Joe Mixon going forward. I think Joe Mixon is somebody who is definitely, I don't really want to call him a buy low, because I think people know the upside that is there. But a lot of people are frustrated with waiting for Joe Mixon. But this could be somebody who has a great second half of the year and could really carry your fantasy team and be a solid RB2, week in and week out. I have no issues this week being with as volatile as the running back position is. I mean, every week it seems like somebody that, is not expected to do something goes out and has a big game. There's not a whole lot of guaranteed running backs that are going to go produce for you. And if you're just taking another crapshoot, if you're just rolling the dice with somebody else, to me, you might as well roll it with Joe Mixon.
Yeah, if Gio was still playing, then I'm hesitant with Joe Mixon. But
Right.
with Gio being out, I'm 100% sure that Joe Mixon is going to see a nice value today. He's going to get the volume. They're going to run him out there, and this is going to be back towards like week 1 when Joe Mixon saw 90% of the touches, I believe. Yeah, Mark Walton had a good week last week, but he's not a guy that I can trust. This is only the second game in which he would touch the ball this year. I mean, heading into week 4 last week, either Mixon or Gio Bernard had 100% of the touches in that backfield. Mark Walton just shows up last week. So if you own Mixon, put him in your lineup. I actually have him ranked as a top 10 running back this week. I think that happens. I know there's a lot of people that are having him just outside that top 10. I have him inside the top 10. I think he has a really good week. I'm excited for that. Last one I want to go on real quick, Latavius Murray and Alfred Blue. Are either of them safe or decent plays this week with their top running backs looking like they're going to be out?
No, negative. I don't want anything to do with either one of them, really. I mean, normally you would say Latavius Murray would be somebody that you'd want to plug right in. But that run defense for Philadelphia is
too good.
Yeah, it's just too good to chance it. They're going to throw a lot. It's a lot easier to throw on Philadelphia than it is to run on Philadelphia. And they got Diggs and Thielen, Rudolph. They're going to throw the board. They're going to rely more on the throw this week. I'm not buying Murray. And as far as Alfred Blue goes, I mean, this isn't really one of these offenses in Houston that you can, pencil in every week to have a decent run game. It's just not. The offensive line is horrible. Depending on how the injuries work out, whether Fuller and QT actually play with Hopkins, to me it doesn't really matter. Blue's probably going to get 15 touches maybe, but he's going to be 100% touchdown dependent in my opinion.
So 100% agree on Murray. I don't want him anywhere in my lineup. Eagles are way too good on the run. I'm not interested in that at all. Blue, I think, begs a little bit of a deeper conversation because Miller completely out. Blue's the guy, okay? He's going to end up being the guy. Donta Foreman's not back for another couple of weeks, it sounds like. So he's going to be really all that they have back there. So if you look, Dallas in the middle third of teams when it comes to playing the run against fantasy points, 16.15 fantasy points to running backs every week on average. If Alfred Blue, if I put him in my lineup as a PPR flex option because Miller's out and he gives me 16 points, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm probably extremely happy with that, actually, to be honest. 16.5 points in PPR leagues, I'll take that. It means he probably found the end zone. But the thing I have to ask is, if this becomes a shootout, there is no way Dallas can keep up with the firepower of Houston. If Houston's offense can go out there and run the score up on Dallas and get ahead of them, then you're probably going to see a lot more Blue than normal. And I think that's the key there. If that happens, then I think Blue becomes a solid flex play and potentially a low-end running back to play. But that has to happen. If that doesn't happen and it becomes a game where they're going toe-to-toe, Dallas's defense is keeping Houston down and they're controlling the game with Ezekiel Elliott in the run, then at that point I see less and less opportunity for Blue. So it really depends on what you think is going to happen with that game this week.
So you're telling me the guy with the Michigan helmet behind him is saying go Blue this week? Yep, go figure.
I mean, I was saying it yesterday.
I'm sensing some bias there, but okay.
Well, let's jump right into it. So real quick, again, we've gotten to Rocky wants to know Jake Hubman or Kyle Richardson in the flex. We answer this question every week. You're taking yourself. I will take myself. So if you have 2 flex spots, you can start both of us. But real quick, before we start getting into your questions, once again, we only have 80 likes on this video right now. Bump it up. Go down there, hit the like button, especially if you want some Let It Flow in a few minutes. If you want some Let It Flow in a few minutes, then you have to hit like because we're not doing it with only 80 likes on this video. Sorry, people. Also, we were closing in on 7,000 subscribers. We were about 50 short of that number before we started this live stream. We were hoping to hit 7,000 subscribers by the time we were done. So if you are watching right now and you have not started or have not subscribed yet, please do so right now. We would really appreciate it. But Jake, why don't we start jumping into some of these questions?
Hey, let's do it. I mean, it's not quite time for Let It Flow until those likes come up, but we can definitely start answering some of these start-sit questions for some people. One that I've seen a lot of, and I've been watching the chat scroll here as we've been talking, and it's kind of some names you really don't hear about, but can we talk about Kerryon Johnson for a second with the Lions? I've been seeing his name pop up a lot here, and it's somebody who I talked about this week in my videos. It's very frustrating because, in my opinion, Kerryon Johnson needs to be touching the ball 20 times a game. minimum for the Detroit Lions. They have been struggling for a run game since Barry Sanders left, basically. You know what I mean? And they have somebody now with this electric ability in the backfield, and they're not going to give him the touches. A lot of people want to throw him in their lineup, though. Do you trust Kerryon Johnson in his limited workload?
Well, I'll tell you, in the RotoBaller Expert Leagues, I have him as my running back 3 right now. So I have Ezekiel Elliott, I have Sony Michel, and then I have Kerryon Johnson starting in a flex spot, but he's my running back 3. And it is extremely frustrating to see this because Kerryon Johnson last week, 45% of the running back touches. That's great, but that was only 10 touches. 10 touches for 56 yards. Last week, LeGarrette Blount had 7 touches, all of them rushes, for 12 yards, 1.7 yards per touch. Kerryon Johnson is still averaging 5.5 yards per touch. Theo Riddick is even out there getting touches right now. He got 1 carry last week, 4 receptions, 27 total yards. So he's right there around the same area in terms of yards per touch as Kerryon Johnson. So we need to start seeing more rushes from Kerryon Johnson. We need to get away from doing this only 9 a game to 10 to 15 a game, and then use Theo Riddick as that pass catching back. And then LeGarrette Blount, if you need to spell Kerryon Johnson, if he has 3-4 touches in a row, if he has a big run, and then if you want to spell him, that's fine. But we need to work LeGarrette Blount out of the game plan completely. Kerryon Johnson has proved himself at this point.
Yep, absolutely. What about we've talked about the weather here in Kansas City for the Chiefs and Jags game. We're getting a lot of people asking questions about, like, what do we do with Tyreek Hill? What do we do with Patrick Mahomes this week? Is Kareem Hunt a good start against this tough Jacksonville defense? And now you add the weather on top of it. Are we still starting these guys? Are we limiting expectations a little bit? In my opinion, yeah, the weather's not ideal. But can you really sit all the players on one of the best offenses in football? I don't think so.
No, you can't, but I'm sitting Kareem Hunt if I have better options. I have him all the way down at running back 26 this week.
Well, all right then. So you're kind of sitting Kareem Hunt, which I'm not totally, against at all. I mean, I've called him worse nicknames in the past, but, it's something where I think you play him if you don't have a better choice. But right. The expectations of you going in there and trying to say, oh, he's going to get me 20 points this week, I'm not so sure I'm going to go that high on it. He's going to be strictly touchdown dependent, in my opinion. And if they can't get the ball, maybe on some long pass interference plays, I can see this turning into kind of an uglier game than we had planned just based off of the weather.
Yeah, right now, again, Hunt, if I have better options, I will try to do that. Maybe if you're in a league where you only start one running back, then I try to go with someone other than Hunt. With wide receivers, I'm not playing Watkins this week, not with him being questionable basically all week long. The biggest thing for Kareem Hunt this year has been his touches. I mean, he touches the ball 88% of the time for running backs in Kansas City. But it's trying to build up that volume around it that's kind of propping him up still last week. And he's even more propped up by last week having 175 total yards. He averaged 8 yards per touch last week. Is he gonna do that again this week? That's a question you have to ask yourself. If he does, then yeah, obviously you want him in your lineup, but he's not doing it against Jacksonville. There's no way. That defense is way too way too good for that to happen. So, I mean, I'll start Tyreek Hill. We listed Tyreek Hill as a start on our episodes this week because we believe that he's the one person on that offense that only needs 2, 3, 4 touches to really return all of his value. So I will give him that. But it's all Travis Kelce and all Tyreek Hill for me this week, and then it's everybody else kind of filling in a little bit.
All right, I totally agree. All right, let's rapid fire a couple of these. Those are kind of the big topics that we're hearing a lot of. So now we're going to get in here, do some shout outs to some names, get some quick questions answered. The first one is going to be Brandon Rojas, and he's asking Matt Breida or #NeverFunchess. I'm going to let the people answer this one, but Breida is absolutely the better choice, and I'm going to throw it up here. NeverFunchess.
NeverFunchess, absolutely.
I answered for you there, Kyle.
Well, for running backs this week.
Yeah, I mean, heck, if it wasn't for his injuries keeping him back during practice, he would somebody be in a top 15 play weekly at this point. Let's see. What about full PPR? Chris Thompson or Joe Mixon?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon for me also, even though I do like Chris Thompson on Monday night. I think I do think he is a good play. Corey Davis or Golden Tate for a flex position, and this is for Javid Lopez, I think his name. It scrolled by so fast.
Tate, 100%.
Yep, I think Tate's starting to heat up in that offense. You're starting seeing a lot more targets. Let's see here. Yep, people throwing up the #NeverFunches. What about Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers? And this is from Randall Galindo.
I have Stafford over Rodgers this week because of Rodgers' lack of weapons. Still a little bit of concern over his knee, how healthy he is. Rodgers has only really been a QB1 once this season. Stafford I have as my QB7 this week against Green Bay at home. The lines are at home. That makes a difference for me.
Exactly. Yep. Lack of weapons, new weapons. Put Stafford over the top there for me also. What about Patrick Mahomes or Carson Wentz from JT?
I'm still going Patrick Mahomes. Wentz, not a horrible matchup against Minnesota because Minnesota has looked really vulnerable at times this week. But again, only third week back for him. Mahomes has been the hot hand. I continue to ride the hot hand, even though it is a little bit more of a tougher matchup.
To me, if you would have asked me this, yesterday, I would have said it's Patrick Mahomes 100% all day long. The weather does slightly worry me. But to me, if you put Patrick Mahomes on your bench and he goes out there and still puts up 40 points, which is unexpected, but heck, this whole season has pretty much been unexpected for him. I think you would absolutely want to pull whatever hair you have left out. In my case, I don't have a whole lot of that, so I'm not willing to take that chance because if I pull any more of this luscious hair out, I'm going to be totally bald. Moving on. What about let's see here, Fitzgerald or QT? Both of them, injury decisions here. Larry Fitzgerald, somebody's name who's comes up a lot, and this is from our boy Joe Camel. And Larry Fitzgerald, I feel bad for him. I feel like we talk about this every single week. He's battling multiple injuries in an offense that's struggling, can't get the ball down the field. They're still not involving David Johnson. To me, this would have been hands down Kiki had he been healthy, but now with him being a game time decision, it's kind of a toss up in my opinion. Which one do you go, Kiki or Fitz?
In a situation like this, I'm going to go with the track record. I'm going to go with the guy who hasn't performed for just 1 week in his entire NFL career. And as much as I love Kuti, I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald here. I have him really close, actually, though. I have Fitzgerald at 45 and Kuti at 49 this week.
All right. What about Aaron Stanley? He's asking what are our thoughts about Alex Collins this week? To me, I'm a little bit worried. Not so much about Collins and his lack of production because I think that would come, but the fumbles are going to start absolutely killing Alex Collins' value because they're just not going to trust him. He's not as good of a pass blocker as Buck Allen is. He's not as great in the passing game. I hate to say it because I love Collins, but to me, he's a risky start this week.
I agree. I have him at running back 24 this week just because I think we're going to see a little bit more of Buck Allen. But I don't like Buck Allen either because I think Buck Allen is 100% TD dependent. I think he has to get into the end zone to really return value, even flex value, because he's not that good of a runner. I know he had a couple of really good runs last week, but he's one of the easiest running backs to bring down on the first try. In the passing game, he's all right. But this year, Flacco has a lot more weapons at wide receiver than he did last year, too. So I really don't like either of them this week. I want to keep watching Collins, though. If he gets through this week unscathed, he has some nice opportunities. He doesn't fumble the ball, then I think we can see maybe a little trend upwards with him again. But if he has another bad week, that fumble at the goal line last week was disastrous for Collins. That couldn't have done anything worse than every other play combined for him this season. He has to have a perfect game this week.
Yep, 100% agree. And just so you know, I'm picking the Browns over the Ravens today. I don't know if that's bold or a hot take or whatever you want to say, but I'm picking the Browns. It is what it is. What about I can't say the name. Crossan? We have Jarvis Landry or Calvin Ridley in a standard league this week. What do you think?
I have to go with Jarvis, and I know Calvin Ridley has the hot hand, and I know that they have a really, really, really good matchup. But again, Jarvis Landry has just been too good. He's getting too many targets right now, and he's the most established wide receiver one of the two. Calvin Ridley is not the wide receiver one there. It's still Julio Jones. You still have Mohamed Sanu, who's getting looks as well. So if we're talking standard leagues, I'm going to get more volume from Landry, and even though Ridley probably has a little bit better touchdown upside, just because of as much more volume as Landry is probably going to get, I have to go with him. I have to go with Landry over Ridley.
And typically I'm a Landry truther. I'll always take Landry over most other options. This week, though, I don't hate the Calvin Ridley matchup, but I think it kind of bases itself on your lineup. If you have a lot of guys in your starting lineup this week with some tough matchups, some risky matchups, maybe you played somebody on Thursday night and they didn't do a whole lot for you. If you're chasing points or whatever it is, I think Ridley is the safer play today. Jarvis is still higher in my rankings, and yes, like I said, Jarvis is going to see the volume. I like Ridley this week. I can see a total shootout between them and the Steelers this week, and Ridley could be on the receiving end of another 15 touchdowns today. Who knows?
All right, so we have a special question that was texted to me by my man Brent. So he's watching the show right now.
I don't even have your number to text you.
Do what?
Brent has your number to text. I don't even have your number.
You do too have my number.
I didn't save it.
Well, then whose fault is that? You're saved in my phone. What is this?
My bad. Moving on. Brent, what's your question?
I hate your sign. Jordy Nelson. I don't. I really don't. I'm sorry. Emotions got the best of me. Jordy Nelson or Jimmy Graham there?
Jordy Nelson or Jimmy Graham as a flex?
Yeah.
Personally, I really hardly ever put a tight end in the flex spot unless I absolutely have to. I think Jordy Nelson's actually starting to I can say this now. I think he's starting to overtake Amari Cooper in this offense because Cooper.
How dare you?
He is either a wide receiver 1 or he's a wide receiver 612. Like that's the only thing you can get with Amari Cooper. There's no like happy medium. You know what I mean? There's no saying, hey, at least he's going to be a wide receiver 2. Because there's not even a chance that he goes out there and gets 2 catches, much less be a wide receiver 2. Jordy Nelson's starting to assert himself in the red zone. He's starting to be more productive here the past 2 weeks. And if he can start getting on the same page as Derek Carr in an offense that's going to throw the ball a lot, I actually like Jordy Nelson there.
Man, I feel like I have to lean Jordy Nelson as well a little bit, but this is a really close one and one that I would struggle with just because the opportunity is there for Graham this week, and that's why it makes it such a good question. Jordy Nelson, though, either he's going to have the huge week for the Raiders, or Amari Cooper is, or Jalen Richard will, or Jared Cook will. It seems like we're all over the place with that offense. It seems like we have one really good player each week, one okay player, then everyone's kind of like, they didn't do anything. So I think Jordy Nelson is the riskier option of the two. So to me, it depends on where you stand right now. If you're already behind in your matchup or if you're projected to lose, then I'm going with Nelson for the upside. If you feel like you have a safe matchup this week, one that you think you can win as long as you have safe players, then I would go with Graham.
All right, what about, let's see, what about Brandon Cooks or James Conner in the flex position for Daniel West?
I have to go with Connor. I have Connor way up in my rankings this week for running backs. I've got him all the way up at running back 3 this week because of that matchup and how he can touch the ball through the air, on the ground. Connor is a must start for me.
You mean like number 3 overall?
No, running back 3.
Yeah, like running back 3. Like it goes 1, 2, and then Connor. I
have Gurley, Gordon, Connor, Kamara, Elliott this week.
I'm going to need a seatbelt for this chair, Kyle. I almost fell out. I mean, I like
it
Connor.
Is such a good matchup this week. Such a good matchup for
Connor. I love Connor this week. I don't know about number 3 overall love, but I do love him. I do think it is a great matchup for him, and he has the potential to put up big points. 3 is bold. I like bold. Way to go bold, Kyle.
That's how I do it.
That's right. What about I've been seeing Devontae Freeman's name fly by here a lot. Most recently here by Eli Pack. He wanted to know about Devontae Freeman, Jay Ajayi, or
Ajayi.
Hold on. There was another option in there. Or Adrian Peterson.
Ajayi.
So you got Freeman, Ajayi, or Peterson.
Ajayi. I like him a lot more this week. I don't want to say a lot. Well, hold on. Let me back up here. So you said Peterson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have Peterson a smidge above Ajayi. Not too much.
You can't say smidge live on the air. We'll lose viewers.
A tad?
A tad is better, I guess.
Can I say a tidbit?
No, don't do that either. Too late. What about, here's a bold one. Mike Garrard, OBJ or Tyler Boyd? Has it gotten that bad already for Odell Beckham? I know he hasn't done anything huge. To me, though, I'm still going Odell. The big breakout game, the big number game, the one that goes out there and wins you your week is coming. Whether it's this week or not, I can't say that for sure yet, but it's coming. I'm not giving up on Odell yet.
Me personally, I would be a lot more upset losing my week with Boyd on the bench than with OBJ on the bench. Yeah. That's for sure. So You start your studs every single week. You put the draft capital on OBJ is probably a first-round pick, if not a very high second-round pick.
Yep, exactly. And I saw a very polite question here, and I've seen it go by a couple times, and he hasn't really fit into it, but I'm going to answer Tenacious Rock 27's question. He wants to know, he's been asking what is our prediction for Doug Baldwin this week, and he's put the question out there, over under 15 points in a PPR league. At home, There's also a 75% chance of rain there in Seattle, but it always rains in Seattle. But they're going up against the Rams defense. And to me, I think he sees a ton of targets. I think he is just peppered with targets this week. How much he can produce with those targets is where I'm worried about. In a PPR league, I think he's got a decent floor. His yardage may not be there, and if he doesn't get the touchdown, it's going to be disappointing. But if I had to guess right now and put a number on Doug Baldwin in a PPR league, I'm putting him somewhere right around the 7 catches for 75 yards, 14 PPR points, somewhere right around in there.
Yeah, the over-under was 15, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go with the under. It might be really close, but I'm still going to take the under there.
So you're copying me is what you're saying. I got you. Okay.
Basically what you said, if he gets the touchdown will pull him over.
Yep.
But I think he has to have the touchdown, and I don't like betting on touchdowns when I'm putting together my fantasy football lineup because they can be too up and down.
Yep, 100% agree. What about Devontae Adams or Corey Davis from Teddy? I didn't catch his last name. Teddy Karamko. I don't want to mispronounce everybody's name. Carcamo. I'm going to guess it. Hit me a thumbs up if I'm right there. But you like Corey Davis this week, or you rather go with Devontae Adams in the injury?
Devontae Adams for sure. I'll take the risk over Corey Davis every day.
I mean, since I have his jersey right here, should I just take him? I mean,
don't succumb to the jersey.
I like the amount of targets he's going to get this week, but yeah, the matchup is just too good for Devontae Adams. If he's out there, he's who you start.
So before we get into what everyone's here to see, before we get to that portion, real quick, Austin says that we look fabulous. So thank you to Austin. And he wants to know Latavius Murray or Aaron Jones. So we're going to say Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, yes.
But because he gave us such a great compliment, we're going to answer that question real quick. But with that being said, we're just over the halfway point at this point, 12:36. So I think it's time to let it flow, personally. But there's an issue with that. We have 242 likes, and we have 839 people watching. Officially the largest at one-time crowd for RotoBaller Game Day. So growing every week. If you're watching right now, thank you so much. Amazing, amazing people on YouTube. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitter, thank you. Keep sharing that. But it's time to let it flow. But we need some more likes. We need to get closer to 300 likes for Let It Flow, because you've said that you're going to do a special long segment today, right?
I was out last week, and I hated to miss the show. So for the people, I said that I would go a little bit longer. I'm going to shoot for 3 minutes today, Kyle. But if I pass out and fall over, I expect you to pick up whatever remainder time there is.
Okay, I can do that. I can do it. So we're going to set it for 3 minutes.
But you know what? I said the light's got to be on. So here we go.
There's the light. It is getting ready to flow. But there it is, 301 likes. Look how quickly that happened. See? You guys rock. You guys rock. So I have the timer set for 3 minutes. It was set for 30 minutes there for a second.
Either my head's getting bigger or the helmet's getting smaller. One of the two.
So the helmet is on. The sign is on. We're getting ready to let it flow for the next 3 minutes. Quick firing, answering your questions. Like the video. If you're watching right now and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you subscribe, please. 3 minutes on the clock. Jake, are you ready to let it flow?
We're going to let it flow for as quickly as I can possibly do it. Hit me some likes, people. Here we go.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, let it flow.
Aaron Jones or Mark Ingram? I want to see Mark Ingram play for a week. Give me Aaron Jones. Alshon Jeffrey or Mike Williams, I think it was. Give me Alshon Jeffrey. He's Carson Wentz's favorite target. Crowell or Hunt? I'm not too high on either, but give me Hunt. I think he sees more touches. Are we still going with Eckler over Collins in PPR? Yes, we are. Absolutely. Coleman or Fuller? Fuller's injury scares me. Go with Coleman. Marvin Jones or Tyler Lockett? Not overly high on either. Give me Marvin Jones. I think he sees more targets today, and he is active. Jones or Sanders or John Brown? Give me John Brown. He's the top target in the offense, and he's going to be looked at early and often by Joe Flacco. Bills D or Jets D? Joseph, I'm sorry you have to choose between the two. Give me the Jets. Westbrook or Boyd? Give me Boyd. He's the safer play this week. I liked Westbrook before the weather news came out. Ridley or Boyd? I'm going Ridley, though. That offense going up against a weak secondary of Pittsburgh is a very amazing matchup. Taywan Taylor or Quincy Enunwa in a full PPR flex, please. I like Quincy Enunwa a little bit better there, even though he's got the tougher matchup. Eckler or Mixon? PPR, give me Mixon. He sees the volume today. PPR, Boyd or Ridley? Still going with Ridley. Doug Baldwin or John Brown. If it's a standard league, I'm going John Brown. PPR, give me Doug Baldwin. Tyreek or John Brown. I'm still going with Tyreek. He only needs 2 catches to give you a great fantasy day. Bortles or Mahomes. Give me Mahomes. I mean, they're both dealing with the weather, so give me the guy with the better offense. Jarvis or Calvin Ridley. I'm being bold. Give me Ridley. I like Jarvis also, but give me Ridley. Ty Montgomery or Aaron Jones. If it's a standard league, give me Jones. PPR, give me Montgomery. Breida, Baldwin, or Buck. Uncle Buck Allen, no thank you. I'm going Matt Breida this week in a good matchup against Arizona. Sanu or T.Y. or Ty Montgomery, I'm guessing is what it is. Give me Ty Montgomery. He's going to benefit the most from all these injuries in Green Bay. You need a wide receiver, Fuller or Baldwin. Give me Baldwin. At least I know he's coming in healthy-er.
1 minute.
We have Quincy, Stills, or Marvin. I like Kenny Stills the most there. I think he has a long touchdown today. Rodgers or Bortles. Give me Rodgers. Cousins or Goff. I like both. I think Goff is the safer play. I think Cousins has the higher ceiling for just today. Corey Davis or Jordan Reed in a flex spot. Give me Corey Davis. I don't like to start tight ends in my flex. Keelan Cole or Jordy Nelson. Give me Jordy Nelson. Cole's not playing as much in the slot as I thought he should. Ty Montgomery or Latavius Murray or Mike Walton. Give me Ty Montgomery. We have, wow, these are going so fast. Lynch or Collins. Give me Marshawn Lynch. I like Marshawn Lynch a little bit better. Collins or Carson. Russ, neither. Do you have a better option? If you don't, give me Collins and cross your fingers and say a prayer to the fantasy gods. Hill or Shepard. I think Shepard is the safer play as long as Evan Ingram is out. Thompson or Breida. Give me Breida, PPR flex. Galladay or Baldwin. Give me Baldwin in a PPR league.
And there it is. The longest Let It Flow segment in the history of forever.
I feel lightheaded.
I think 3 minutes is your ceiling when it comes to Let It Flow.
Yeah, we've definitely reached my ceiling at Let It Flow because I thought I was going to pass out about 2.5 minutes into it.
I also think you slowed down a little bit at the end. I could see it starting to wear on you a little bit.
I couldn't breathe, Kyle. I do that for the people. I don't do it because it looks good. I do it because it's funny and people enjoy it.
Oh, man. 867 people watching right now. 359 likes. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Everybody over on Twitter, thank you as well for tuning in right now. Let It Flow. Another success. Jake, get a drink of water. Let's jump back over to me here real quick. Let's jump into a few different things. Let's run back over some of these injury news and notes. If you haven't, I'll try to fan you from here. I don't know if it's working or not.
It's not working.
So a few injury notes again. Gio Bernard, Leonard Fournette, both out today. John Ross is out. Marvin Jones, even though he was a late add to the injury report, he is expected to play. Randall Cobb is out. Geronimo Allison is out. Devontae Adams is in. So we're giving bumps to Adams, and then we're giving bumps to Jimmy Graham, Aaron Jones, and Ty Montgomery. Sammy Watkins expected to play, but questionable. Not starting him unless you're absolutely forced to. I'd much rather take Kelsey and Hill in that offense. I don't know about Hunt yet. I'm still not on that train. Devontae Parker, he is out today. Hayden Hurst is active for his first career game. Charles Clay is questionable. Greg Olsen is out, but expected to return next week. Evan Ingram also out. Another huge bump to Sterling Shepard. In the late games, Matt Breida is questionable, but expected to play. I'm seeing a huge game out of him today. Lamar Miller sounds like he's out. Alfred Blue gets a nice little bump. Delvin Cook is a game-time decision, but it sounds like he is out today. So Latavius Murray, if you own him, I'm not starting him against that Eagles defense. They're way too good against the run. Darren Sproles and Corey Clement. Darren Sproles is out. Corey Clement has not practiced at all this week. He sounds like he will be out. Larry Fitzgerald is questionable, but he has played with that hamstring injury the last 2 weeks, so he should be fine. Marquise Goodwin is out. Terrence Williams is out. Gallup could get a nice little boost if you need a sneaky play today, a sneakily good play, yes, as we like to say here. Will Fuller and Kiki Kute also both questionable, both expected to play.
Not letting you off on that one, Kyle. You got to throw the nickname in there. If you don't say the nickname, I'm going to make you do the dance.
What do you say?
Kiki, do you love me? QT.
Kiki, do you love me? QT. All right. Both questionable. Will Fuller in your lineup if you need him, but you also want to be careful because we don't want to put him out there for one quarter and he goes away. So those are the injury news and notes again. I think we need to jump back into answering some of these questions because there are a whole lot of questions today.
Yes.
Brady wants to know, love your videos. Hey, guys, appreciate it, Brady. Who are you picking 3 in standard, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, and Brandon Cooks.
I feel like I'm sitting one of my children here because I like all of them. I mean, there's really no bet. I wouldn't start Kupp and Cooks together being it's the same team, so you pretty much got to choose which one of those to sit. I sat Cooper Kupp last week and almost dang near received death threats, so I'm never doing that again. I mean, it's a win-win, Brady, for me, but I'm trying to protect my livelihood and my future, so I'm not going to sit Kupp, which means I sit Ridley. But I don't want to. No, I'm going to sit Cooks. Sit Cooks this week. That's my guess.
I'm going to be a little bit different. So if I had to pick 3 in standard, I'm going to go with Adams, Ridley, and did you say Cups or Cook? Who are you? Cup or Cook? Who are you saying?
I said I'm going to sit Cooks.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I'm not different. I misheard you. My bad. So
I'm still lightheaded, Kyle. I don't even know what I'm saying. I just had a child-size helmet on for 3 minutes just for the people, just for questions, rapid fire. I can't feel my face.
Oh, man. So, yeah, so Jake and I agree on that one. So that's who we are going with. Jake, what are some other questions there? I'll let you get back to that because I got to check something here real quick.
All right, go check something. Let's see here. What about you guys rock? Absolutely. Thank you, Antonio. Or Token. I can't see who's all going by here. Quincy or Sanders in a standard league? I'm sticking with Sanders there. Nothing against Quincy, but I like Emmanuel Sanders a little bit more, especially since DT can't get going here on the offense.
So it was Quincy Enunwa or Sanders, correct?
Correct.
I got to check this one.
Check it. Check it faster. People are waiting.
I can't find him.
Well, I guess we're just going with my pick of Sanders.
Okay. Yep, I'm going to go with Sanders too. There he is. Yep, Sanders.
Perfect.
Sorry.
What about Jarvis Landry or Philip Lindsay? Tristan Pitford wants to know.
Jarvis Landry.
Yes, but it's very close. I mean, as far as Philip Lindsay goes, I mean, where's my finger at? He's trending up, like severely quickly because he's involved in that offense a lot still. What about Drew Brees or Jared Goff from Joshua Jackson?
Okay, we'll answer this one. Then I have an announcement to make. Okay. What is it, Brees or Goff?
Yes.
Let me jump back over. Goff has really cemented himself as a must-play every week. So if you have Brees and Goff, you have a good problem. I'm going with Goff this week.
I think he's the safer play. I think that secondary and defense of the Redskins is a little bit underrated, and I can see possibly maybe a little bit more running with Mark Ingram this week. Maybe, possibly.
Possibly, but I'm still not on Mark Ingram. So
of course you're not, because I am. So I wouldn't expect you to like him at all.
Well, don't trade for guys I don't like, Jake.
If this wasn't virtual, I would punch you.
This is why we need to be in a studio together so that people can see that.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, I got to jump in here real quick before we take any other questions. I just need to throw a huge thank you to everyone watching right now. We just passed 7,000 subscribers. So we're up to 7,024 subscribers. Not bad for having like 115, 3 months ago. Yeah. So we appreciate it. Everybody watching, thank you so much. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. If you're liking the content so far, we are here every Sunday from 12 to 1 o'clock. We're going to get some more questions in here right now. We had over 800 people watching at one time today. We thank you very much for that. If you're on Twitter, please jump over to YouTube and subscribe real quick as well. Let's get a few more questions. We have Kyle Crushers coming up here in a minute, but we'll get a couple more questions in.
All right, let's see what else we got. What about we just talked about Jared Goff. What about him against Deshaun Watson? Which one do you choose there for John Prince?
For QB this week, I'm going to Deshaun Watson. He is my QB3.
I still think Jared Goff is slightly safer with the injuries that are still unknown with Fuller and QT. Somebody here wants to know, Julian, anyone know the status of Breida? Sounds like he is going to play this week.
He is expected to play this week. I have him in my lineup for sure if I own him.
What about your boy Jenkins wants to know Deion Lewis or Buck Allen for a flex play?
Deion Lewis.
I think so too. I think Deion Lewis is the safer play there this week. James Joyner. He raised his hand 15 times and then it scrolled by too fast, so I'm going to scroll back up to him because it caught my eye. The Jags defense or the Rams defense? You starting the Jags defense this week, Kyle? If you have them?
I don't. If I could, I normally only carry one defensive special teams. I don't carry two. So if I own Jacksonville and I could get someone off waivers to stream, I would do it. But I would go Rams against Seattle this week if I had the choice between the two.
Yeah, I think the Rams are a little bit higher ranked for me also, but yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. I'm trying to see some new names in here that we haven't talked about a whole lot. TJ Yeldon or James Conner? I know you're super high on James Conner, so we know what your answer is going to be, but that doesn't mean that I don't like TJ Yeldon this week. I think
like
that
both.
I do like them both. If there's a way you could put one as an RB and one as a flex, I would definitely try to start both of them.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what your entire lineup starts like. If I had to pick between those two, then 100% I would go with Connor, just because I have him, again, as my RB3 this week.
Yep, absolutely. Jonathan Cortez asking for some serious help with a lot of flames. Tyreek Hill or Alshon Jeffrey? Which one do you choose?
I want to say Hill. Part of me leans towards Jeffrey. If this is like a wide receiver 2 type pick, then I'm probably going to go Hill.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I think Hill has still got that higher ceiling, doesn't need a whole lot to give you a great day.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and lead into some of your weekly injury picks?
Yes, weekly injury picks. So let's do it real quick. Got 9 minutes left in the show, so let's quick jump into Kyle's Crushers. And I don't have my sunglasses. I don't know where I put them. My bad. Jake has the helmet for Let It Flow. I have the sunglasses for Kyle's Crushers, and my sunglasses are gone. So real quick, just jump into it. Last week to go over my picks and where they performed. And again, these are players who I suspect that will outperform the consensus rankings, the expert consensus rankings. So last week I picked Stafford to perform better than QB12. He went QB14, so I missed that one. Fournette and Carson we don't count because they ended up being injured. Shepard, I picked him. He was wide receiver 25. I picked him to outperform. He ended as wide receiver 9. Got that one. Crabtree, I should have known better. Hashtag never Crabtree. Finished at wide receiver 64, so I was wrong on that one. But Geronimo Allison I got right. He went 31 compared to 37. And George Kittle I got right. He went 2 compared to 12. So this week's selections for me, and I'll run through these pretty quick here for you because I want to get some more questions in. Matt Ryan is my QB. He's listed currently as QB4. I think he finishes higher than that. That is one that I am picking, and that doesn't give me a whole lot of wiggle room, but that's how confident I am that Matt Ryan finishes as a QB2 is where I have him ranked this week. Matt Breida, he's currently ranked at running back 17 in PPR. He's going to finish higher than that. Aaron Jones, currently ranked as RB22 in PPR. I have him higher than that. Sterling Shepard at wide receiver 30, I have higher. Will Fuller at wide receiver 2, I have higher. Or 32, wide receiver 32, I have Fuller higher than that. Mohamed Sanu at wide receiver 47 in PPR. I have him outperforming that. And then Austin Seferian-Jenkins at tight end 16. I have him outperforming that in PPR as well. So run it down real quick. Again, Kyle's Crushers, Matt Ryan, Matt Breida, Aaron Jones, Sterling Shepard, Will Fuller, Mohamed Sanu, Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Well, that was almost, I should have put the light on for that because you kind of just let it flow rapidly.
I did. I tried to because we've had such a good day today. I want to give the people what they want, and the people want questions answered. And I want to make sure we get as many of their questions as possible.
All right.
So we've got about 7 more minutes. Let's jump into it for a few more minutes here, about 5 minutes of questions.
All right. What about William DeSantis wants to know about Big Ben or Patty Mahomes?
I have Big Ben.
Yes, I didn't before the weather, but I mean they're neck and neck. I think they both still have good games, but Big Ben has the better matchup against a lack of defense in Atlanta. You have Matt Ryan. We already talked about how high we have Matt Ryan or Rodgers. Somebody asked me here, Mahomes or Goff. I think Goff is actually safer play now. Montgomery or Kerryon Johnson in a PPR league. What do you think, Kyle? Pick one on the clock.
I have to go with Kerryon Johnson.
I'm going to go Ty Montgomery. I'm going to be bold, say Ty Montgomery. I'm actually starting Ty Montgomery in an expert league today. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but I'm rolling with it. Got to be bold.
Yep.
Let's see here. What about Sammy Watkins or Antonio Callaway from Thomas Strat?
I'm going to go with Callaway. I know he didn't have the best game last week. He made a couple of mistakes, but for the past 2 weeks with Baker Mayfield in the lineup, and then even at the beginning of that Thursday night when Tyrod Taylor was in, there have been 3 deep balls to Antonio Callaway that have either just been underthrown or just overthrown. He's literally about a foot combined or 2 feet combined from having well over 150 to 200 yards and 3 touchdowns the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to continue to go him because they are just missing right now. Just missing.
I agree. I love the upside of Callaway also. What do you what would you do here with a couple guys kind of not with the greatest matchups? I mean, I do like Devontae Freeman, but he's coming off the injury. Would you rather have Devontae Freeman or Carlos Hyde this week?
Carlos Hyde.
I have Carlos Hyde a little bit higher also. I still think Tevin Coleman and him split close to 50-50. Coleman hasn't been productive by himself, so it's kind of going to be one of those things where whoever gets the touchdown has the better day.
Tyler Turner said this is life or death, so we need to help him right away.
Where is Tyler? Ask this. I don't see where he's at, so you ask it.
I keep sending mine because it's life or death. Ha ha ha. Laughing emoji. Fire. D.D. Westbrook or Will Fuller for a wide receiver 3 in full PPR. Your upside there is going to be Will Fuller. You're concerned because he could end up getting hurt. But if Will Fuller plays the entire game and doesn't get hurt, he's going to outperform Westbrook. So I have Fuller and 100% over Westbrook.
I have Fuller 65% over Westbrook. It's a lot closer for me. D.D. playing in the slot. If that weather clears up at all, they're going to have to continue to throw the ball. And D.D. Westbrook, somebody who see a lot of targets there out of the slot for Jacksonville this week. And like I said, I'm just a little bit more concerned about the injury to Will Fuller.
Christopher Cardenas said this is a presidential alert, and he has a lot of warning emojis there. But he wants to know Corey Davis or Doug Baldwin full standard.
Going full standard, are you there? Let's
full
see.
Standard or flex standard. Not full standard.
Okay, flex standard. Oh man. I'm going Corey Davis. I'm going Corey Davis this week.
Standard.
Yeah, for a standard league. Oh, there it is again. I see we're getting presidential alerts all over the place. What about Tevin Coleman or Marvin Jones for Muhammad? I mean, personally, I think I'd almost rather have Tevin Coleman slightly higher.
Yeah, I think I have him slightly higher as well.
I mean, I just think there's a lot of offense in that game this week. It could be, a very high scoring affair. See that? Look at that. Kiki, do you love me? Alexander even put music emojis up in there. Kiki, do you love me? Or I think the other one was Keelan Cole in a PPR. I'm going Kiki, do you love me? Like this.
And he said PPR, right?
Yes, that's why I'm going Kiki. That's why I'm going Kiki.
Okay. Yeah, I would put Kiki in then too.
Let's see, we already talked about that one. What about David Johnson or Adrian Peterson for Edward?
The upside is there with David Johnson.
They have to start getting him the ball more. They absolutely have to. I mean,
they did last week. They did a lot better last week. I'll say that. But I even wrote about it in my running back touch breakdown and efficiency article that I have a feeling that they've just been careful with David Johnson the first few weeks, working him back in slowly because his touch percentage has gone up significantly every single week. I expect that to continue to happen. So it's going to happen. The breakout is coming, people.
All right. One last question, and it's an important one. What do we do with Jack Mother Doyle? Do we keep him or do we drop him?
Put him on waivers.
Yep, unfortunately. That just means that I get to say the nickname more when it's time to pick him back up again. But for right now, yeah, dropping Jack Doyle also, unfortunately, even though I love the nickname.
So quick reminder here real quick. Again, RotoBaller.com is where you go to find everything fantasy football related and any other fantasy sports that you might be playing. All of our articles, all of our start-sit tools, our free tools. Again, if you want to get into our premium content, you can do that as well. Go sign up and get some awesome premium contributions as well. Make sure that you download the RotoBaller Fantasy Football app, an amazing app. All of your injury news and alerts right to your phone so you get messages whenever something breaks. So you've got that. You've got access to all of our articles, all of our waiver wire articles. So after this week is done, we start putting our waiver wire articles up tonight and tomorrow morning. So you're going to be getting that recommendations right away. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Thank you. We had our largest viewers today, over 400 likes, over 800 people watching at one time. We appreciate it so much. Between Twitter and YouTube, I'm excited to see what the overall views were. So thanks so much to everyone again. Reggae Rocking said he's not watching the show anymore. Peace out, Reggae. Sorry, bud. So thank you again for everybody. Thank you for stopping in today. We're going to go let you go and watch some football at this point. Make sure that you keep an eye on RotoBaller YouTube throughout the week for all of our videos dropping on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, sometimes not Mondays. It depends on the schedule. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. You can find stuff all week long. Again, thank you so much to everyone today. Make sure that you follow Jake on Twitter. His is right down below. Shameless plug. I'm almost at 9,000 followers, so fingers crossed that happens soon. So if you're on Twitter, go follow me, please. It's right down below. I'd really appreciate it.
Can I shameless plug my other channel also?
Plug it, Jake. Plug
Make
away.
sure you go check out the Fantasy Headliners on YouTube. If you're not subscribed there, go over there, check it out. Tons of great content, quick hit information.
Right.
Do what?
It's right there, Headliners.
Oh yeah, but the fantasy part isn't hung up yet. They weren't selling Fs. I need some Fs. If I just put up there Fantasy Headliners, I'd get a bunch of comments.
All right, people. It's 1:00. Go watch some football. We are going to check you out next week again. RotoBaller Game Day live on Sundays right here from 12 to 1. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you then. Thank you.
Yep, later.